Hey guys, how you doing? Today is August 1st, right? Then very quick, we arrived August already, right? This year passed more than half already, 7 months already, right? So yesterday Amazon announced the result, and then the post market, the stock price dropped at more than 6%. And the reason is that the market think the guidance is weak, right? But I think that the market is overreacted on that guidance, right? So we will take a look on that. And yesterday, Meta got a good result, and then Microsoft got a good result, but still cannot give a lift to the market. I think that is because of the tariff, right? I think that is because of tariff, right? So we'll take a look on that. Our Falcon portfolio then keeping 137%, right? So for any of you have any message, then you can leave under the YouTube, or you can directly email to me by usstockmarketweekly@gmail.com. And this is our covering, right? I think that the market is overreacted on the guidance of Amazon. So after the announcement of the result, then the stock price dropped by more than 6%. So yesterday, Dow Jones actually should be a lift, right? And then gradually changed to low increment, and then drop 100, 200, and then finally dropped at 330, right? Then ended at 44,130. That is quite bad. The same, actually Nasdaq been rising because the weighted average of Meta and Microsoft is big, but still cannot give a lift. Finally, they turned it into a drop, 7 points, and Nasdaq closed at 21,122 points. This is our Falcon 350,000 portfolio, and we are keeping 6%, right, this year. Actually, that is the same level of the Dow Jones and a little bit lower than the Nasdaq. Nasdaq this year rise by 7%, and we are a little bit lower than that. And right, you can see that Meta and Microsoft failed to give a lift to the market, although they are weighted heavy, right, on the average of the index, right? See that S&P 500 posts the third straight losing day, right? That is quite bad because Microsoft rise by 4% and Meta rise by 11%. That is quite a lift, but still cannot do anything. That is funny to me, right? Because Trump said that for the tariff raise, right? Any transshipment then will raise 40% duty, but who is going to check if there is transshipped? No one. Who will do that, right? Same China, right? I shipped the goods to Vietnam, and then the goods being transited from Vietnam to US. Who is going to check those cargo are transited? No one. Who can? No one can, right? So I don't think that is a way to solve it, right? I don't think so, right? Who is going to check that, right? Same for some furniture, right? We put everything with made in Vietnam, and then shipped it in container to Vietnam first, right? And then transited to US. Who is going to check that is originated from China, right? No one, and no one can, right? And no one can, right? So that is just for something in the surface for you to, okay, then US take something, right? They monitor something, but it's not workable, right? It's not working. That is another school tiny, right, from China on NVIDIA's H20 AI chips, because what I learned from the public news is that NVIDIA is putting something, remote control, on that AI chips, and we recorded the usage of that, and that is not workable for China, because if then there is no country secret. You know where it's being used, for what, and recorded it. And the most killing thing is then by remote control you can stop it. If we used it on some computer and then you stop it, then everything is being ruined, right? So Beijing is going to have a question on NVIDIA, or I think that Jensen may go to China as well, right? You have to explain that, otherwise then we can use it, right? We can buy from you, right? Finally, some good news for Apple, right? Then Apple been weak in China for a few quarters already. We see Tim Cook. And then finally, after I think it's about 3 quarters already, right? The sales of iPhone in China grow over, the sales of the iPhone grow 30% year over year, and overall revenue grow 10%. And there is the biggest quarterly revenue growth since 2021 December. That means 3 years already, right? And Tim Cook said that is going for AI investment, but we've been waited for too long, right? And open to M&A, then we have to wait. We wait for 1 or 2 years already, right? And Tim said that Chinese subsidies for some devices help Apple again in the region. Then that's a good thing for us, right? Because Apple been weak for so long already, nearly 3 quarters already, right? Good for us that's still holding the Apple stock. Amazon Web Service increased more than 18% in the second quarter to $30.9 billion US, right? But the stock price dropped. We are going to that in a brief, right? We will, maybe if we have time, we will have a detailed analysis of that in our Hong Kong program. That is quite discouraging. You see that in the past 5 years, Amazon stock price increment is less than 50%, 47.98%, and without dividend. Remember, the P/E ratio is 38, right? We will come back to it. In past 1 year, still okay, 25%, right? That's workable. But in the past 6 months, no. It dropped at 1.5% again. So we will have 1 or 2 shots about the Q2 financial result of Amazon. See that is the net sales of this quarter, right? This quarter, if compared to 1 year before, is up about 12%. Not much, right? But if we compare to the quarters in between, that is not a very good result. Just not bad, right? See that it is less than Q4 of last year. And the most important region to Amazon is still US, right? US, then is the international, and then is the AWS, right? You can see that the AWS occupied 18% of the total sales of Amazon. if we work back from now to 12 months, then you can see that actually when compared with 1 year before, right, 1 year before, it increased by only 11% of the sales, right? Not the net income, it's the sales. And if we compare with last quarter, a quarter before, blah, 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 the increment from one quarter to the next quarter is not big, right? You see that from 5 quarters before is only 11%. That means every quarter the increment is just 1 or 2%. That is low, right? That is quite low. But one thing that quite aware is the free cash flow. See that the free cash flow dropped a lot in the past 5 quarters, right? That is what I am worrying. Where does the money goes to, right? She used a lot of money, right? But on the sales, on the free cash flow, the increment is not very big. You can see that that is a million, right? That the unit is million, not a billion. You can see that. Now, the free cash flow is only 30% of 1 year before, right? Only 30%. That is dropped from 529 million to 181 million. It's a big drop. But we don't see the stock price has a big increment, right? So that's the problem. Then how is she going to optimize the money then she used it, right? That's a big problem, right? So I put a question mark there. If we compare the guidance of this quarter, right, and then the final result of this quarter, that is better, right? Guidance of this quarter revenue is 2.575 billion US dollar compared to what actual is 2.983, right? 10% better. Adjusted operating margin, right? Guidance is 7.2% and final actual is 7.4%, right? And the guidance on the adjusted earning per share non-GAAP is 1.17. Actual is 1.39. So that was better. All of them are better than guidance. We can conclude that Amazon, when doing the guidance, is a little bit conservative, right? Holding something on the hand. This time, make the stock price drop it. We can see very clearly, right? The consensus of the coming quarter's revenue, right? That is a billion, right? The unit is in billion US dollar. Is 173 billion US dollar. But the guidance is 174. That means nearly no increment. Very weak. That's the reason the market is quite disappointed, right? Because no increment, right? But I think that is the Amazon is quite conservative on that, right? She don't want to blah 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 blah, and then the result come up is not very good. Then we can see the guidance before, but the market is, you know that now the market is a little bit afraid because of the tariff. Right, then a lot of investor, okay, then I don't think it's that good, then I dump the stock, right? So make the stock price drop by 6%. That is bad, right? But I don't think that the real situation is that worse. But if like that, then the forward PE now is 36 times. And the actual one is 38. But the revenue increment is only by 11%. That may be too high. That may be too high, right? So that may be the reason. You can see that the post-market, it dropped by not 6%, sorry about that, 6.62%. But that is not a big drop, right? Not a big drop, because you can see that from May of this year, the stock price of Amazon rised up a lot, from 175 to now 234, right? So I think that that is only one time, right? If you are holding Amazon, then I think you can still hold it, right? But if you have not bought Amazon, then I think you better wait a little bit more, right? If then she dropped it further, and then you can buy it, right, for long term. But may not be as good as something like Meta or Google or Amazon, or not Amazon, right? Or maybe like Alphabet, right? Like Netflix may not be like that, right? But I think that there will be some mild increment for you if you buy the stock a little bit lower than today's price. Because we all know that from bookstore, online bookstore to e-shopping, then a lot of e-shopping now in the whole world already, right? And for the AWS, then a lot of data center server now in the whole world already, right? Then that is 5 or 6 years before already, right? So we cannot expect Amazon have the same growth as before, but she may not be very bad, right? Just some sort of, right? Some normal increment for that, right? That may be enough for some of the investors that they just want to have stable stock for growth, right? So not a bad increment, not a bad investment, but may not be at the tip of the wind, right? We know that. That's it. Okay, thanks guys for watching, and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Appreciate it, right? So thanks guys for watching, and then I hope everyone have a very peaceful weekend. See you guys on next Friday. Bye bye.